The filmmaking industry has always been a very fast-paced art form that evolves very quickly. Driven by advancements in technology and the new effects it allows us to create, as well as the stories it allows us to tell. A new method of crafting an effect is invented, and suddenly it's a race to see who can do it the best, in the shortest amount of time. The digital revolution has helped push this race to perfection with new levels of precision, allowing filmmakers to tweak and adjust every frame seemingly infinitely before achieving the desired effect. From CGI-enhanced visuals to high-resolution cinematography, digital technology has expanded creative possibilities.
Movies, it's a technological medium, so you're always being held back. When you get into special effects movies, it was for a long time just impossible to do most things you wanted to do. And once we went digital, it suddenly became possible. It also allowed us to make movies, historical movies, things. The ramifications can walk in a lot of different ways.
However, this asks the question of whether this newfound precision in filmmaking undermines the organic essence of storytelling. The digital revolution not only impacted the way we as an audience consume media, but it also impacted the production of it. With the most transformative shift in cinematic history, digital cameras are far more precise and show much more clarity than ever. Visual effects and CGI used to take up an entire studio's worth of space, known as render farms, and can now be done off the battery of a 13-inch laptop. Tools that used to be dedicated machines are now just digital plugins available in any editing software.
The three most essential pieces of test equipment for video are the waveform monitor, vector scope, and the test signal generator.
Another thing that used to be tediously handcrafted, now done completely digitally, and directors finally have the freedom to craft entire worlds in ways that have never been possible before now. However, not every aspect of this digital age is bursting at the seams with positivity. Digital technology has also led certain creative fields down a dark path. Today we're going to be looking at two in particular, but let's start with this one. Traditional cell animation has entirely been replaced by digital techniques, allowing for smoother motion and more detail. However, 2D animation in Western cinema is currently at its lowest point in history. In terms of popularity and critical opinion, the entire genre has fallen into irrelevance despite it being easier to produce than ever before. So why don't we get these great 2D animated films coming to cinema anymore? Essentially, it's the fault of Disney and DreamWorks. During the early 2000s, these studios were consistently releasing groundbreaking and highly innovative 3D animated films, whilst their 2D efforts during the same period were often underwhelming and quickly faded into obscurity. Most people discussing this topic blame the mainstream audience from the time for not financially supporting these 2D animated films. But for me personally, I can't blame them, because why would you go out of your way to go and see this when these people have already experienced all of this? 2D animation was too standardized for the time. There was no need to innovate in the field or try and create something that was beautiful. The online publication The Other Side of Animation commented on this topic by saying, "I don't buy that 2D animation died because people stopped caring about it. I think it died because studios here in the States keep giving us films that either couldn't stay in the tone they set out for, higher-ups got their meddling hands into the pie, or were just terrible movies." The former CEO of Disney, Michael Eisner, puts it best himself. "What's dead is bad storytelling. Technology doesn't make the movie, the story makes the movie." These two art forms are considered the exact same thing when they're really not. The perfection of digital animation leads to 2D falling flat and looking much more dull by comparison, yet new techniques were never developed. 2D animation got pushed aside and considered non-profitable. The other main issue that comes with the precision of digital filmmaking is the over-reliance on CGI. The deep shadows and rich contrast commonly associated with cinema is dying, replaced with muted colours and minimal shadows to make room for VFX and CGI. The more you see of modern cinema in Hollywood, the more transparent it is just how many sacrifices are being made in order to make way for these visual effects. CGI is more impressive than ever and is a very useful art form in moderation, but this newfound trend of making as much of a movie as possible using nothing but a computer completely removes the humanity in the art form and is creating a huge disconnect with audiences. Not to mention the fact that these digital artists are being overworked and underappreciated for their efforts. Directing practical effects is a real art and a skill set that is slowly fading away due to the industry's over-reliance on digital precision and getting pixel-perfect results, when oftentimes the best art comes from those slight imperfections, as that's where the humanity lies. The most notable films of recent years often combine the use of CGI and practical effects, making sure neither one is able to overshadow the other.
You do a motion control move where you have the one actor on a moving platform. So when the camera moves, you're doing your moves all relative. So you're literally sliding the guy along on the floor as your motion control motion control camera is moving along.
Hopefully this trend of making as little of the movie real as possible is just that, a trend that will eventually one day die out. As Richard Linklater puts it, film history is full of these little bursts of, oh, there's a huge paradigm shift, and then it kind of recedes back into what filmmaking is at its core, storytelling. Digital filmmaking and the precision that comes alongside it has undeniably revolutionized filmmaking with the infinite creative possibilities. However, the chase for perfection shouldn't come at the cost of storytelling, emotional depth, and artistic authenticity. The primary goal of cinema is to have an emotional connection between the creators and the audience. But how are you supposed to do that with nothing but overly produced, perfect-looking 3D models shaped like people? The warmth of human expression and the spontaneous nature of a live set contribute to a more relatable and engaging experience for audiences, creating a sense of immersion rather than detachment.